Join us for a deep dive into EMR.
Everything you need to know about the method that is revolutionizing the world of trauma.
I think what's so compelling about EMR is that it offers a different lens than traditional talk therapy. It's like about reliving the trauma itself and more about helping your brain process the experience in a way that releases the emotional hold it might have on you.
Okay, so let's talk about Dana. So Dana, on the surface, had this seemingly perfect childhood, right? But behind closed doors, her father constantly emotionally abused her.
Yeah.
And, imagine it's like, especially as a child, being told things like, you're too sensitive or you'll never amount to anything. Like, those are pretty heavy things to hear.
Yeah, and those aren't just sort of like hurtful comments in the moment. I mean, over time, those messages, especially from like a parental figure, can become deeply ingrained beliefs that impact how we see ourselves and how we interact with the world. It's like those negative beliefs kind of become the lens through which we view everything.
Totally. And so Dana carried this feeling of being, like unworthy and unlovable into her adult life. And this like really impacted her relationships, her overall well-being. And she tried everything to heal, therapy, meditation, self-help, but nothing seemed to really address the root cause.
Right.
And so this is where EMR comes in, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And what's interesting is that EMR focuses on the impact of the trauma rather than like the specific details of the traumatic event. So instead of reliving those painful memories, it targets the emotional and behavioral patterns that stem from them.
So it's content free.
Yeah, you don't even have to talk about the trauma directly. It's a huge part of what makes EMR so unique.
Yeah, it operates on the idea that our brains have an innate capacity for healing. Yeah.
How does that even work?
Well, think about it this way. When you experience something traumatic, it's like your brain's filing system gets overloaded.
Okay.
Right? Certain memories and emotions become fragmented or difficult to process. Bilateral stimulation, which often involves like guided eye movements, seems to act like a sort of defragmentation tool. It helps your brain kind of reorganize and process those difficult memories.
So it's not about like erasing the past, but it's more like helping your brain, like you said, process those difficult experiences in a healthier way.
So back to Dana.
Yeah.
I imagine she was a little hesitant to try something so different, right?
Yeah.
It's not like traditional therapy where you sit and you talk things out.
Right.
Like, this is totally different.
Oh, yeah. She was definitely skeptical at first, Yeah. It's understandable.
Right.
We're so used to thinking about therapy in a certain way.
Right.
But she was, desperate for relief, so
Yeah.
her desperation kind of outweighed her doubt.
Yeah, if I was in her shoes, I'd be like, sign me up. I'll try anything at this point. So what does an EMR session actually look like?
Yeah.
Like, are you staring at a swinging pendulum?
It's not quite that theatrical.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty simple.
Okay.
So the therapist might have you focus on a specific thought or feeling related to like the issue that you're working on.
Okay.
So in Dana's case, it might be like that feeling of anxiety in relationships or that deeply held belief of being unlovable.
Right. And while you're focusing on those feelings, that's where the eye movements come in.
Right, exactly. So
Right.
the therapist will guide your eye movements often from side to side,
Okay.
which again is thought to stimulate both hemispheres of the brain.
Okay.
And it might be following their finger, a light.
Interesting. And so this is what helps your brain kind of reprocess those like kind of stuck memories and stuff.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened with Dana?
Yeah.
Like, did she have like some big emotional breakthrough during one of her sessions?
So she didn't relive those painful memories with her father,
Right.
but she started to notice that the emotional charge that those memories carried started to kind of like dissipate,
Wow.
like a weight slowly being lifted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not about suppressing or forgetting the past.
Yeah.
It's more about changing how our brains like react to those memories.
Exactly. It's about
Yeah.
processing those experiences in a way that allows us to move forward, with more peace and less emotional reactivity.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
But okay, that's what happens like during the sessions.
Right. But did those changes actually stick with Dana outside of therapy?
Yeah.
Like, that's the million-dollar question.
So one of the biggest changes Dana noticed was in her relationships.
Okay.
She'd always been anxious and afraid of rejection.
Right.
But after EMR, she found herself reacting differently.
So she wasn't like constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly.
Wow.
She was able to take a step back, breathe, and not automatically assume the worst. It was like EMR helped her rewire those automatic negative thought patterns.
Okay, that's huge because our thoughts really do influence how we experience everything.
So it's like if you're constantly expecting rejection,
Yeah.
you're more likely to act in ways that sabotage your relationships.
Precisely. And on the flip side, when you start to feel those deep-seated wounds and you can challenge those negative beliefs, it can have like a ripple effect on every area of your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just about feeling better in the therapy room.
Right.
It actually translated into real, tangible changes in her life.
Exactly. And it wasn't just her romantic relationships.
Okay.
Dana also found that she was able to set boundaries with others, something she had always struggled with.
I feel like so many people I know struggle with that.
It's so common.
It's like that fear of, I don't know, disappointing others or creating conflict or
And that
something.
ache.
Yeah.
And, you know, especially for someone like Dana who had this like deeply held belief that she was unworthy and unlovable,
Yeah.
setting boundaries probably felt terrifying.
Right.
Like all those old tapes start playing in your head.
Totally.
If I say no, they'll leave. If I say no, they won't love me anymore.
It's like those negative core beliefs were just holding her hostage.
Yeah. Right. And it's not that those thoughts and feelings just magically disappeared overnight,
Right.
but she was able to start responding to them differently.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of being ruled by that fear and self-doubt,
Yeah.
she found the strength to honor her own needs and set those healthy boundaries. That's so empowering.
She stepped into her own power.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing thing about healing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about erasing the past.
Right.
It's about transforming how we relate to it.
Totally.
So that we can live more fully in the present.
Kind of reminds me of that quote. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I think Dana's story really beautifully illustrates that.
Totally.
That even these deep-seated emotional wounds
Yeah.
can be healed. And they can allow us to kind of create a new narrative for ourselves.
Right. Where growth and lasting change are possible.
Okay, so for our listener who's at home listening to this being like, EMR sounds amazing. Where do I sign up?
Right.
What's like the most important thing to keep in mind?
Yeah. And that's great that they're excited about the possibilities.
Right.
But it's important to remember that while Dana's story is really inspiring,
Yeah.
everyone's journey is unique.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Okay, so it's not like a magic bullet.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
And it's really crucial to find a therapeutic approach that resonates with you
Okay.
and with your own individual needs. So if EMR is something that you're considering,
Yeah.
do your research.
Yeah.
And most importantly, connect with a qualified practitioner.
Well, on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive into, like I said, the fascinating world of EMR. I don't know about you, but I feel like I've learned a ton.
Me too, yeah. It's always amazing to kind of explore like the incredible healing capacity of the human mind.
It really is. And to our listener, if this sparked your curiosity to keep exploring, there's a whole world of therapeutic approaches out there.
There is.
Who knows what doors might open when you start looking for new ways to like heal and grow.
Right. And remember, seeking support is a sign of strength. It's not a weakness.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to reach out and begin your own journey toward healing and wholeness.
Beautifully said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of you.